viewers, and thank you for joining in. My name is Arun, and you have started watching the AI with Arun show. So, in today's call, we have Kiran, who is the co founder and CTO of Atomic Work, which is a cutting edge company that's revolutionizing enterprise IT with AI driven solutions and agentic AI. Kiran by himself is a very seasoned technology leader. He's also known as a founding team member of Freshworks, where he played a pivotal role in its journey right from being a startup to an IPO. With over a decade of expertise in cloud architecture, scalability, and AI innovation, Kiran is here to share his insights on the future of AI in enterprise service management. Atomic Work, under his leadership and the other co-founders, recently secured 25 million funding to enhance enterprise IT with agentic AI. Kiran, a very warm welcome to our show.
Hey, hi Arun, how are you?
Great, Kiran, great, and I'm so glad that you're able to find time for our viewers.
No worries, man. It's my pleasure.
All right. So, Kiran, let's jump in. Tell our viewers about what Atomic Work does and how is it that you have been able to disrupt this whole marketplace and that was so very quickly.
So we actually do an agentic IT service management, which is you can put it as like an internal help desk where organizations uses our product to support their employees. So our vision is to actually create instant support for the employees, whoever they required access for, right? Currently, we envision the access to our product through conversation. We started with like a Slack and a Teams assistant where people can able to get four different things, right? One is your enterprise search. We connect to your knowledge management systems, and you can able to ask any question about your policies or documentation, any of those things. And second, we do a case management system, which is basically an employee can able to ask, I need a laptop, or I need access to Salesforce, or my VPN is slow, any of those things. So where an IT support or a HR support agent can able to address those. And the third one is we can able to do like a simple RPA or a complex RPA solutions through a conversation, like a password reset or provisioning an access or adding a person to a GitHub repo, any of those things. And the fourth one, where we actually offload some of the tasks from an IT support or an HR support person, where an AI agent can able to autonomously do something, right? If you take last decade, right? So there is because at Freshworks also we did customer help desk, etc. So there is a wave of transformation on the customer service products, right? But if you see employee service management or an ESM, right? So there is not much of an innovation or anything changed, right? Where we envision that we will actually build ground up AI as a code base so that we are not thinking about AI afterthought, like build the product and put it as an assistant, but AI itself is being embedded with all the modules which we build ground up, right? So that is where we are seeing it. You can able to see a new interface as well as more intelligent interface where most of these routine tasks are actually taken out of the plate of an IT support people, right? So that is how we see a lot of people liking our product, so that to implement us, so we don't need a village of people to do it. So it is very simple. You can just host it and it gets up and running in a day, right? So that is how we designed it.
Wow, that's a great overview of what your product does, Kiran. So, quick question. ServiceNow, right, which is a leader in that quadrant, has been there for quite some time. ServiceNow does pretty much all the stuff that you described, and so does Freshworks, right? So, how are you differentiating yourself between against these two giants?
So we built the product in the era of AI, right? So which is basically for us, the AI is not like a bolt-on kind of an approach, which is like, okay, you already have the product, so that just I will add a dimension of AI on top of it, which is like an orchestrator onto your like another product, right? So what we did is actually it's built in so that any of the module, let's say email processing, to a workflow automation or issue resolution or summary of an issue or offloading an issue or an offloading a ticket, all these things are inbuilt. It's not an afterthought This is it, right? So we are fortunate enough, maybe we actually started when all this AI revolution is happening. We actually picked up some of the fruits of it. But how you design the interface, how you embed AI is inbuilt rather than like an afterthought approach, right? So completely reimagining the interfaces, how each module can act along with the AI is our mode, differentiating us from like a ServiceNow or a Freshworks kind of a solution.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because what you just said, it means that it's a multifaceted interaction, right? So there is an AI agent that your product has. Uh, those AI agents are interacting among themselves. At the same time, there is an AI agent that's interacting with a human as well. So if
Yeah.
you can, maybe you can walk through, take an example, let's say, right, like a case management. If I'm an employee within a company which has your product, Atomic Works, how does that user journey actually work?
Okay, I will just take up one of those things, right? So at the core, we have like a 3 or 4 specialized agents. We have it like a knowledge agent, troubleshooting agent, etc. I'll take 2 examples. Let's take one troubleshooting agent, right? Let's say when you say that my VPN is slow, right? The first thing, say, traditional ITSM solutions will do it is you create a ticket, assign to an IT support guy, wait for him to actually come, attend the ticket, and maybe do it, right? Maybe with then like a new AI approach, the only extra thing they can able to do it is maybe give a knowledge source so that it can be used so that you can able to troubleshoot it. How we do it, like a troubleshooting agent, right? Most of these IT tickets will not have enough information for an IT support agent to act upon, right? One thing we do it when you raise a ticket, a troubleshooting agent will be assigned to it rather than an human agent, so that it does the interaction with the employee, saying that whether you follow these steps. Sometimes because we actually integrate with all your IT ecosystem, it's not that the employee needs to do all these steps, right? We can also able to perform some of the steps and collect the logs. Let's say if we already understood the core problem, can able to fix it, means the AI agent, it can able to fix it, right? Or else it collects the enough troubleshooting information like the error logs or what is the context of the user, all these things, and adds to the ticket, so an IT support agent can able to come and solve it faster, right? So that is how we see it, right? And let's say on the knowledge agent, the thing is, when a user types a query, it's not that it just goes to like a RAG pipeline and picks up the data and shows it, right? It's a very simple RAG pipeline. You can able to build it in a day, right? So because all the code samples, even AI is writing the code, right? So you don't need to write much of the code. But what we do it is we have like a different modules which actually takes care of one acts as like an enterprise intent engine, right? Which understands the query, expands the query, adds information which is not there, and also see whether it's a toxic query or it is outside the boundaries of the company, all these things, right? And we work with multiple different sources so that it can be your knowledge management system or atomic work ticket system, or it can be like an enterprise apps like Salesforce, Atlassian, or any of these enterprise apps, right? Once it retrieves information, it needs to rank it in a way that the end user knows this is the contextual answer he needs to see, right? And also, we shouldn't work as a black box, right? We need to end up giving an answer as well as putting like from which source it came from, right? Most of the people, when they search in ChatGPT or any of these open tools, they don't understand because it is in black box. You don't know where it is searching, what is the kind of information you get it, right? So we tackle all these problems. So even on the knowledge, it's an agent rather than just a simple RAG pipeline where you are going to get answer, right? And we built our own agent framework. We haven't used any of the modules available right now because it didn't suit our needs. We felt it's too abstract to use it. When we built it, we had this full control. Think of it, this is a mixture of experts, right? So doing each of these so that there will be an orchestrator where you can able to assemble all these agents so that they can able to work in tandem. right? So I mean, I can talk in length in terms of how we log it, the security, all these things, but that is how, like, a simple couple of examples how it works.
Yeah, no, and we'll shortly go into those as well. But that's interesting. The way you described it, that's pretty interesting. So as I was doing some research, right, we found that there's something that an Ensemble AI that you have, right? So talk to viewers about what does Ensemble AI really mean, and how do you truly differentiate between LLMs and SLMs? How do these interplay together?
Okay, as I discussed before, we actually use a mixture of experts, not depending on one single model to give an answer, right? So when you look at the pipeline, there are different tasks which each one of it does, right? For example, let's say you're figuring out an intent, or you re-rank between multiple sources, or you actually generate a natural language to an API query, right? For each one of it, there is a different behavior or different accuracy, latency. All these things will come into picture, right? So what we do is we benchmark for each of this aspect. When you look at one pipeline query, it is not one model which actually does most of the job. It is like a 4 to 5 models, and we won't depend on one model forever. Let's say if you're actually doing an intent detection with GPT-4o, let's say there is another model which Cloud 3.7, which actually got released last week. If it does better, we will actually switch it, right? So we have like an extensive benchmarking and evaluation engine where we keep doing it, the evaluation, whenever the new models come, right? So in that sense, we get the best of the world, right? So which is basically you will get the best latency as well as best accuracy, so that instead of just depending on one architecture or one layer, so that you use different ones so that we can able to get best of the both worlds.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. And how are for example, see, there are a lot of concepts about LLMs versus SLMs. Kiran, if you can spend a minute talking to our viewers about how are you differentiating between these in your product.
Okay, so let's say there is a general task where you don't need a domain-specific knowledge to actually achieve the goal of the task, where you will actually go for a generic LLM, like a SOTA models, like a GPT-4o or a Claude 3.7, one of these, right? But let's say if it is a domain-specific, as I said, we actually fetch the knowledge even from an enterprise apps, right? Which is basically you need to transform your natural language understanding using the context to an API query, right? So there we'll use a more expert model, like a small model, like a Gorilla LLM, where you can able to transform that query, right? Let's say we need to re-rank these bits, right? We wrote our own LLM-based re-ranker, but you can able to use a smaller model like a Cohere re-ranker 3 to actually re-rank between these sources. So that for each one of it, it's better to pick it up. But choosing between these two, you have like a domain-specific model, which is like designed to it. Even for formatting of an answer, we actually use a model, right? So which is basically when you have different clients, either you can write like a heavy length of code to actually support it, or use an LLM to actually do even the formatting, right? So in that sense, we use SLMs for like a more domain specific or a specific task kind of a model, tasks, and like an LLM for like a very generalized task, right? So where you don't need like a domain specific knowledge of it.
Yeah, yeah. So as somebody who's listening in, some with very basic knowledge, what is the right use case I should be looking at for using an LLM versus a use case where I should be using an SLM? How should I think about those two?
Yeah, so it's actually like very small task. It all depends on your business use case, right? So what you are trying to achieve, I can able to tell you what we can do, right? So let's say to determine whether your query is a small talk or not, you don't need an LLM, like a bigger model to actually do it. You don't need so many billions of parameters to actually do the flip flops to actually give that answer, right? But let's say if you want to actually generalize that answer or give it in a human readable way, it needs to understand a lot of this language and history of it, on how it can able to present that answer, right? For that, maybe you need to use an LM. Let's say if you are doing a cold start, right? My advice used to just use a SOTA model, because you don't have the data, you don't know what is the problem you're solving for, or whether how this problem will actually get shaped and pushed to production, right? I mean, the POC to production is a long journey in the AI world, because you need to do a lot of experimentation, get to an accuracy. That if you're selling to an enterprise, the hygiene is like paramount, right? So you can't actually slip even a word to actually give a better answer, right? For somebody on a cold start, I would strongly advise them to use a SOTA model, which is the best of the best, which is possible there, so that once you get into like a production, then you can able to see how you can able to modularize it. Once you modularize it, maybe pick up an SLM where you can able to get a better accuracy and latency, right? So that is the like a pros and cons of it in terms of what you can pick and not pick.
Interesting. Very helpful. All right, so let's talk about your customers. Right. So as we're doing our research, we found that Zora, for example, one of your customers, they have reduced their resolution time by up to 90%, like which is like phenomenal, right? So how are you able to achieve this kinds of remarkable outcomes? And what are some of your other customers? What are they telling you?
Yeah. So now. All the enterprises look at this way, right? Most of the employees in the enterprises, 75% of them already started using AI tools in one way or other, right? Use a chat GPT or an Copilot or one of these things, right? So now for CIOs or the head of the departments, the usage is how you can able to ground it so that you can able to deliver better support to the employees, but using the enterprise knowledge, right? What is their documents, what is their policies, or what is their apps, and how to do it, right? Especially in Zora case, right? So think of it, Atom, our AI assistant, how it is being used is it is like a concierge. It lives in Slack so that somebody can able to ask a question. It intelligently sees that whether I need to answer it or need to call a human, right? Most of their L0 task is being taken care by Atom itself, right? They started with one department, but they actually expanded to multiple departments, where for them it is like feed the knowledge to it and can able to even put this knowledge where you can't actually miss out the words also, like an FAQs, how it can able to do it. Atom can able to deal with both, right? It can able to deal with a very unstructured knowledge, and it can able to give it. And also it can able to give the structured knowledge so that it won't actually miss, like an FAQs, like give an answer kind of thing. And the second thing they automated is most of the access asks are a password reset kind of an automations, right? So where you either you need an IT support guy to come do all these steps to actually do it, or you actually have an intelligent automation where it can be powered through even from the conversation, so that you don't even need to log the ticket and do it. And this is how it is, right? So it's with a human, it is a proportional way, right? So you need these many X people in your team to support X number of employees. But with an IT automation or an AI automation, you don't need those many to do it, right? Where IT can focus on more productivity or a business productivity kind of an use cases rather than doing very routine mundane tasks, right? And also with AI, we can be more proactive rather than reactive, so that you can able to figure out these things even before, rather than coming to an like a knee-jerk kind of fan situation and then keep doing it.
Got it.
Even for others, it's the same. How they interacted with it, right? Right now, they use human, or the knowledge sources are actually spread across into multiple things, right? If you take an average employee, he will actually do shift tab of at least 10 tabs to get an information what he's needed. Now Atom will become like a single point of pain where they can come, ask any question, get a resolution, and move on. right? So that it happens inside their work environment rather than they need to jump to another portal, do something and come back.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, many a time I have seen people who are in service desk or agents, right? The human agents. There are multiple tabs that are open, right? And that itself, it becomes very confusing as they navigate through all these different tabs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Kiran, so what kind of challenges, be it technical challenges or be it cultural challenges, that customers are telling you as they're implementing not just your product, but in any product in the enterprise service management space?
Yeah. So particularly if you take AI, the major compliance risk for them is on the data storage. Like, what is the security behind it, right? So one thing we did well is, even before we started selling the product, or when we started, right, we have like a 9 different certifications on the security, right? We actually have it on the data processing, data storage, HIPAA compliance, everything, right? So that gives an assurance for them in terms of how their data is processed, right? And also in terms of using the models, how you use it, whether you actually use this data to train it, or to actually whether your prompts will get leaked, those kind of things, right? In terms of what are the guardrails you can able to put it on the a model interaction, we have written our own router to actually interact so that we know we control in terms of what is the kind of data goes in, goes out, so that none of the PII data actually goes out from us. It is actually being redacted at a L7 layer itself, so that it even doesn't even come to our logs or not even our parameter, right? So that we, in that part, we are actually pretty covered. And also in terms of the ACLs, like I have a source system, which is like SharePoint or a Confluence or an Google Drive, etc. Right? In your SharePoint, you already will have an ACL saying that this document is only visible to this group or this people, right? Which is basically when we index it or when we actually get that data in Atomic Work system, we kind of mimic the entire ACL, like one-to-one, so that whatever enterprise ACLs you have it, we kind of mimic it, so that if somebody asks a question which he doesn't have the access to, he will not get the answer, right? That gives us a lot of trust for the customers to use our product. And the third one is in terms of the reliability, in terms of,
Yeah.
okay, how you
Kiran,
handle
sorry to interrupt. What is ACL? You spoke about ACL. What does that mean?
access controls.
Oh, access
Access
control. Okay, got it.
controls. Yeah, access
Understood. Okay.
controls. Yeah. And the third one is the reliability of it, in terms of how much of a platform is reliable, in terms of what happens if there are rate limits, what is the fallback, and how you'll actually take care of, okay, it stopped working, how we can able to answer the employee questions, those kind of a thing, right? So the third one. So for that, we actually has multiple deployments of the models, and we have an intelligent router which can able to take care of latencies, error rates, response time. And also we have a multi-layered approach in terms of the reliability, so that if one model layer is not working, we fall back to a different model, etc. We balance between the accuracy and latency, so that every time an employee asks, so he will get an instant support, so that we take care of the reliability. In fact, at Freshworks, I ran reliability engineering for like 12 years. So I saw multiple ways of how to scale things, how not to scale, how to tackle these errors, response times, etc. That is also helping a little bit when I'm architecting in the Atomic Work.
Yeah, wow. So, the way I see it, right, Atomic Works, you are an AI native company, plus you have a lot of security built in right from the beginning of the product, that's native to your product. It's not like a bolt on. And that's like a, good combination for enhancing employee experience, productivity, and all the good things that go with it for your customers. No,
Yeah.
that's great. And no wonder, you have been able to raise 25 million recently. So, Kiran, how are you guys planning to use that funding that you have just raised?
Yeah. So two things we are doing it. We are strengthening our AI arm. Uh, most of it goes to our product R&D, right? So that is where our core strength is in terms of how we can able to enhance our AI capabilities and can able to do more experimentation on the agents, etc. Where we started deploying AI agents from last couple of months, and there is an array of agents we will be end up deploying this year, right? And the second one is our expansion in the US. So we are expanding on our GTM team, the sales team on the West Coast and East Coast. So that is another way we are trying to utilize the money we raised.
Okay, that's good. There's a lot of market for this in the US in particular, right? With the focus on employee experience. And good luck to you. And I'm sure you guys will do extremely well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit more about the future. We have often heard that you have described agentic AI, right, as intelligent reasoning beyond RPA, right? So how do you think, in your vision of things, that agentic AI will influence all the enterprise IT workflows, let's say in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Yeah, so the thing is, a lot of people actually confuse between a simple RPA system to an agentic workflow, right? In terms of whether you can able to reason something and can able to take an action, where you're just going to give a goal, right? We are not going to prescribe the steps, what you do next, right? So that is an agentic automation, right? Most of them get it wrong. So like a simple steps, you do like a simple RPA, like a rule-based system, they get quite confused with an agentic automation, right? How this is going to evolve in the IT world in terms of the IT processes, right? So now IT will become more proactive than react, so that they will actually try to find the support cases even before an AI agent can able to do it, before it actually becomes a problem. Right? Let's say, for example, an AI agent sitting on your desktop can able to listen to what are the crashes happening, or maybe you have errors on your browser. Most of these will not be reported by employees to the IT team, right? It actually grows the bubbles up only at the end. That is when the IT support team actually knows. Now it becomes more proactive, so that most of these issues will be handled at the root level rather than at a cost level, right? So that is one major thing which is going to happen, right? But once the AI takes up most of this routine mundane task, these AI agents will become your digital buddies, right? So it is basically your digital employees working along with the IT support or a HR support or any other backend support teams, so that they can able to serve better. Once this routine mundane task is being taken out, which is basically gives IT support a better possibility to actually spend time on the business productivity, which actually is what meant to do it, right? So it's not that doing a routine task or taking care, oh, this is actually coming for a warranty, I need to actually replace it, all these things. All these things will be offloaded by agents, where most of these proactive systems will actually come into this.
Oh, interesting. And how are you planning to stay ahead of competition, Kiran? You can share some more things in terms of your roadmap that you've been planning. Agentic AI, of course, 2025 is going to be the year of the agentic AI. Right? We see a lot of customers, just looking for different kinds of use cases to cut down their cost or just improve experience, be it customers or employees, using agentic AI. So in terms of your vision, Kiran, how are you planning to use more of these agentic AI, because you're an AI native company, and stay ahead of your competition?
So one advantage we have it is because we are building ground up. So we can able to define our interfaces in terms of how these can be modeled, right? In terms of, let's say, for example, in an ITSM scenario, if you take a change module, right? If somebody wants to upgrade a system from one version to the other, so now the agent needs to think what are all the steps he needs to do to make sure this change actually goes as planned, right? But because we connect to most of the IT systems as well as the asset management systems, we can come up with a plan. These are the things. And we can even connect to like a trusted forums outside also, bring in that knowledge, can digitalize it and able to send. This is the 4 or 5 steps you need to do so that the operation can able to, uh, will be a success, right? So uh, those kind of things, right? Even think of IT asset management, where most of these discovery tools will actually do a lot of these duplicate things, right? Because there will be an Excel sheet, there will be a procurement platform, and there is a discovery. You need to reconcile this entire thing. Most of it right now is being done very manual, right? But that is something where we can able to reconcile intelligently, can able to do it, right? So that even building CMDB ground up, we can able to do it with that intelligence rather than doing it, okay, oh, I already have the CMDB, I discovered it, the tools are there, let's go the reconciliation as a second step. We can even do it in the first step itself, right? So, and also using the data, I can able to tell what is the life cycle of the asset, when you need to actually take care of the warranty, what are all the apps life cycle. It's not within your complaints. I need to actually go and update it, all these things, right? So the velocity of experimentation we can do, and the interfaces we can put in inside the product itself will actually is a differentiator for us, where we can able to deliver these to the market way faster and more accurately, right? So that is what we are differentiating ourselves.
Yeah, that seems like a very good strategy, Kiran. Very meaningful and impactful. Yeah. All right, so Kiran, let's talk about the future as we were talking earlier, right? There is more going to interactions going to be between human agents and humans and end users and agents, AI agents. So, in
Yeah.
your vision of things, how does that interaction going to evolve in the next couple of years? Are we going to see new kinds of user interfaces or human agent interfaces, or what does that look like?
See, now if we actually take it, maybe I'll step out a little bit on the IT service management, right? So let's say if you look at like a coding, right? So if you uh, maybe if you take a year back, most of this boilerplate code is also written by the devs, right? Or else you go such in Stack Overflow or a Google, etc. You pick some code pieces into it. But now most of the devs are not writing boilerplate code, right? It's one of these things are actually generating it. Either it is a windsurf or a cursor or any of these things, right? Now they are becoming more intelligent. Now more and more your work is to actually tell what to do as well as review what it actually produced, right? And you need to know how you but still you need to know the coding, how the principles are, so that you can able to validate the output, right? But without that you can't do it. But most of the work will actually become like reviewing the AI outputs at a developer level, and that is how the interaction is going to be, right? But if you take in IT service management, right? So let's say I take an example of troubleshooting agent, which is basically it is actually going and looking at the history of tickets which has been solved, as well as the knowledge you have it, and the outside trusted knowledge. All these three things, and the apps connected to it. Using all, it is trying to actually give you the next best action as well as diagnosis, right? Let's say if there is an uh, another message from the employee, it needs to again rethink, which is like a feedback from the employee. So again, it needs to rethink and come back with another solution, right? Let's say it has like X number of loops to say that, okay, I exhausted all my options, the tools I have it, the reasoning I have it, so that maybe I need a human agent to do it. It just hands off to an IT support guy. Okay, I did all these things, and this is the state of the machine right now, or the appliance right now. Maybe you can actually take it from that, right? Which is basically the next 20% of the work, right? The most complex or a hyper automation kind of a work where a human agent can do it, right? So that is how I see it. It is evolved. It's good to have it in this generation because things are evolving so fast. Luckily, I was in both the revolutions, the cloud and the AI, building companies in two eras. So it's good to see both evolving together.
Nice, nice, nice. So, Kiran, if I am a customer today, or somebody, potential target for you, right, and looking for implementing an agentic AI solution in the enterprise service management space, so I obviously contact you. Typically, what does your implementation timeframes look like? How quickly can I get a solution from you?
Oh, so it's actually the sign up is pretty forward. Intentionally, we lock the public sign up. But the thing is, once you just have your details in, you will get the account on the same day, etc. To implement it, the POC to say production will be less than 4 weeks.
Oh wow, okay, that's really quick.
Yeah, yeah. So most of it is packaged so that these are all templates, you can do it. And the configuration, everything is like a drag and drop. There is no common code, or you don't need an array of consultants to come and do it. It's a very, very simple way of configuring the product and start using from the day one, right? And because it is like because there is no portal for the end user, right? For an employee, it's just coming to a chat and just asking in a question in a natural language. So by the time he will just see the result very instantly, right? So he don't need to have any training to do it, because chat is something we are very much well versed with. And also because the interfaces right now, it is from a Teams or a Slack, so that it is available even on your mobile. So even on your mobile, you open up a Slack and talk to Atom, it actually just responds.
Yeah, wow, wow. So you have kept the user interface so simple and so easy that anybody can just simply start using with no new tools to be implemented.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Can you spend some time talking to our viewers, and more so from a roadmap standpoint, in terms of the security feature that you're bringing in, right? Especially this is very cat oriented, so employees could ask anything. How are you making sure that there are guardrails in place? And this is going to be somewhere in the realm of the unknown as well, right? Because you don't know what people could ask for. So how are you
Yeah.
guaranteeing that employees would have really secure features?
Got it. So we do two things, right? One is obviously because we are actually adhere with all these complaints, etc. We'll left shift most of the security in the development phase itself, right? Now interfaces to the product is no more from the web; it is from a conversation, right? Where you can able to try to jailbreak the system. So we work with few companies where you can they actually do like a hacker style deployment on even on the conversation. So where it can able to see that can you able to give your prompt out, or it can do multiple conversation and can say that, okay, forget everything, maybe you have a different role now, right? So we do at the development level itself, it is one. And the other one is we actually sell it to different varieties of organizations. It's a horizontal product, not a vertical product. When you horizontally sell, we have people who are in the education, fintech, manufacturing, etc. Let's say for education kind of an customer, Atom is okay to answer some code, right? Because they have this knowledge, maybe a general coding question should be answered, etc. But it's not true for a fintech kind of a customer, right? What we did is we actually we motorized in terms of how the input can come and how the output can go, right? So in the input, we check in terms of whether it has any toxicity or ambiguity or it's a small talk, those kind of things. So where most of these queries will be stopped there itself. And we adhere to the ACL so that the documents which are not actually not accessed by you will not even come into picture, so that you can't even go. And the third one is we actually has like a post-processing module where we validate the answer in terms of the accuracy, faithfulness, as well as whether it is relevant to the context of the question you asked, and also ask the LLM to attach the source attribution to it, which is from which source it came from. You do all these things, then only will actually present to the end user So that those many guardrails, right? The guardrails where we have it internally, where we can able to stop, or how we can able to identify the toxic content, etc. And also from the customer who can actually able to tell its boundaries. You can say that, okay, I don't want to answer politics, or you can say I don't want it to answer sports, or you can configure high level of customization how you can able to act it, so that it is tuned per tenant, so that it acts, it's not like a gender purpose thing, right? So it acts for the customer in the way he presumes it.
Yeah, nice, nice. Because so ample guardrails built in. So employers or companies who are implementing your solutions, they can rest assured that it's actually in a very safe and guardrailed environment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So, Kiran, with that, we come to the next part of our show, which is the rapid fire round.
Okay.
All right. So here's my first question to you: from Freshworks zero to IPO journey versus building Atomic Works, which one is more challenging for you?
Uh, Both, I would say, right? So when you take Freshworks, right? So when we started, we haven't imagined the company will be this big, right? So we were actually building from a very remote place in Chennai, like in Kilkatle, etc., in like a warehouse, right? So we are building from it. We never imagined the Freshworks will be like this successful. But when we realized 0 to 1 million, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, every journey is a different challenge altogether, right? So every time you go there, you will actually find new challenges you need to confront, etc. And naively, innocently, we actually thought, okay, the second journey will be easy, right? But it's not. So again, you need to relearn, unlearn everything, again, do things in a different way so that we can able to do it. Both are challenging, but in a good way of challenging. I am enjoying the ride in both the cases. Most rewarding, I would say, in both the cases.
All right. So the next one, in terms of your tech stack preferences, Kubernetes or serverless for scalable AI architectures?
Uh, So I'm not an engineer who just engineers for the solution. I usually take a business case and try to solve the best possible solution. So I don't have any love to technology or what I use to solve it. I use the things which actually do it, right? For example, Kubernetes is where most of our say even the vector databases, etc., has been hosted. And I have serverless for code execution of custom code execution, right? I use both for different kind of use cases. I don't give like, okay, this is better, that is better. I just use the technology for the use case I'm trying to solve.
Yeah, that's a nice way of thinking about it, right? Because rather than technology solve the problem, we understand the business context and then figure out the technology behind it.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
yeah.
brilliant. All right, the third one I have for you: what is one skill that every AI engineer needs to know in 2025 and beyond?
Um, I would say maybe learn English well so that you can give better instructions, right? So we all study, at least me, I studied from a tier two town. In terms of I learned English at a very, very late stage, all these things, right? And the other thing is you should have like an aspirational way of looking things on the AI, because most of them try it out once and see that, okay, it's not working, so that they'll move on. But this is something which doesn't go away, right? We need to live with it and give a long-term view that it is going to get 100x better, and take reality at this point of time and do it. And I would say a lot of people use it to generate code. Until unless you know what is the quality of the code it generated, there is no way you know that you are writing good code, right? So you need to know that before actually use that. I would strongly suggest on it. And also these things are evolving faster. The pace to keep up with these things should be there. Everybody will become an AI engineer in one way or other in the next 12 to 18 months. There is no way you can able to build it in dark, right? So you can actually should start using AI on your current development practice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As they rightly say, right? AI is going to replace people who don't want to use AI. or AI humans who use AI will replace humans who don't use AI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. The next one that I have for you, what is the top tool other than atomic work that you use daily? So it cannot be
Uh,
atomic work.
yeah. So I use Claude a lot to generate code. Some bits and pieces. If I wanted to do some experimentation, I do it. As well as I do started using deep research of ChatGPT for the last 2 weeks, where in some architecture, etc., it tries to find blind spots I have it, where I can able to go keep actually doing to and fro to get to an answer. Right. So these are the two things mainly. It's there on the tabs all the
Okay. Interesting use cases for our viewers to learn and use.
time.
And then the last one I have for you, that if you could mentor your 25-year-old self, what would it be?
I would do, maybe I'll tell two things, right? So one is the companies actually live long term, that can become big and it can survive generations, right? When somebody is starting in 25, it's very hard to imagine that company can exist multiple decades. But after Freshworks start believing that companies can actually live longer and can able to create generational wealth for employees, right? So that is one thing I would say for a 20, because I was always worried what happens to the company, right, on a day-to-day basis, etc. Right, and the second one is uh, I would say put a lot of emphasis on health, where you can sleep well, eat well, do physical exercise, so that when you're again starting in 40s, right? I'm in 40s. I just turned 40, right? So you should be fit to, because it's not end, right? It's not like you made money, you're done for the life. The struggles will keep coming, and you can't sit idle, right? You need to keep working. So that physical fitness actually makes a lot of sense to actually build it very early, so that you can keep going on your life.
Yeah, that's a very good feedback. Irrespective of whatever we all do in AI, physical health, mental health, extremely important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Kiran, thank you. That brings us toward the end of our show. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, viewers.
Thank you. I also enjoyed. Thanks, Arun, for